All right. Hey, we recording?
It's crazy how they now be like, oh, somebody's recording you. Do you want to leave the chat? Because people don't want to be recorded.
No. All right, y'all. Hey, y'all. Welcome to Season 3, episode I Don't Know. I'm going to be honest, I'm going to have to count. I'm thinking we probably like at around like 17 or something like that of the Whole Story Sundays. I am your host, Jaquil the Wholistic One Gilchrist. And today we have a very special guest, my co-host of the Matters of the Heart Mondays, but I'm going to allow her to drop her socials and her name and all that good stuff. And it's on you, boo.
Hey, everybody. It's me, Song from Matters of the Heart Mondays. Also, my independent platform is Inspiring Beauty and Believers. You can catch me on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Do I have other? I lose track of all my platforms. I'm still in the process of getting my podcast started, so bear with me on that, y'all. But yes, you can catch me on any of those three, Inspiring Beauty and Believers, where we talk about overcoming parental abandonment issues and the relationships and how it affects you later on in life. So, and also Essence is here. Say hi, Essence. She all in my drink, so now she don't want to talk.
Hey, Essence girl. Okay. So guys, we're gonna just go on ahead and get into it because I just think that this is such a needed topic. So y'all know that the Whole Story Sundays is about wholeness. It's about fostering that unconditional positive regard and self-love for yourself. So that way you'll be able to be whole in relationships. But a lot of the times we can't give people what we don't have per se, and definitely if we're still battling things. Now, I'm a firm believer, just like Chantel is, that it all starts in the household. We're also a firm believers that we got to get to the root of the issue to heal. I believe that if you still battling a daddy and a mama issue, if you still battling whatever issue, the molestation, the rape, the seeing your mama and your daddy use drugs, the seeing your mama and your daddy argue, the growing up in the projects, the trauma, all of that stuff, until you get down to the root of that issue, you're never really going to be able to operate the way that you need to operate. Today's topic, I honestly haven't even named it yet because we're recording before I actually made the flyer and all that good stuff, but it is, we're talking about parental abandonment. I think I might even want to call this parental love is the best love. And it is a necessity, guys, because, our parents show us how most of the time you can tell if a person was loved correctly as a child based on how their interactions are with other people, to include relationships. It's a song, Shiny, by Mary J. Blige, and I'm just about to open it up. And
is it Real Love? Real Love.
Hey, not that one, girl, but this is called The Father in You. And I'm gonna share my screen so you can see the lyrics, right? Because I want you to see like how profound it is what she said, and I think you'll be able to like really. I think this is how we're gonna start the podcast today. I think this is what God is directing me to do. So I'm about to look up the lyrics, okay?
Sounds good.
Bear with me, y'all. I'm about to share my screen because I want Shiny to read these lyrics, and we're gonna read them to y'all, okay? Yeah. And usually, guys, with the Whole Story Sundays, we are asking questions. It is a father-based, it is a question-based platform. However, today, typically when I'm with my co-hosts, we deviate from that. So I was like, I'm not going to even worry about that mess today.
Right. We know how to just make everything flow.
Right.
Let me grab her a cup real quick. I'm sorry, I'm messing y'all up. Let me grab this cup.
No, you ain't messing us up. So yeah, I just, for those who are listening via the Anchor app or Apple Podcast, y'all can't see it, but I pulled up the lyrics to Mary J. Blige song called The Father in You. And you know what? Father Day is coming up. So I think this is so profound that we even having this conversation. I think this podcast will actually drop after Father's Day, actually, but still, you know, you can always go back and listen to it as a reference. But yeah, when my co-hosts come back, we're gonna read these lyrics along, so that you guys can hear some of them, and that's going to kind of jumpstart our scripture. I mean, our podcast episode. All right,
Okay.
Johnny. So I'm gonna read these to you. So it says, "Can you see them?"
Yep.
It says, "When I was a little girl, I didn't have a father, and that's why I'm leaning on you. When I was a baby, I didn't get a hug from daddy. That's why I need a hug from you. Oh, it's not easy, and I thank you for putting up with me." She's talking about her mate. "When you don't have a daddy's love, to say that I'm your little girl, or why didn't you love me and give you the love I need love? Yeah, really deserve. You really deserve. I believe I deserve, and that's why I need the father in you. That's why I need the father in you." And then she said, "Well, things got bad to the point where mama couldn't hold us down. And that's when it hurt me so much to see her." And basically, she was saying to see her cry and basically say, "We're going to be all right." But at the same time, in so many words, she's saying, because I didn't get the love from my father, I'm dependent on the love from you. And I'm looking for your love to be like the love that I didn't get from my father. So she's basically saying that's why I need the father in you.
Exactly. That's deep. That's one of her songs I ain't ever heard, but
Girl, it literally, oh Lord, it literally definitely brings out a lot of emotion for me, because when I listen to that song, when she's saying, like, you listen to the lyrics, is you can just hear her pain of not having a father, not having someone there to hold her down. And like Prophet Lowe, who go to our church, y'all seen him on the Whole Story Sundays a couple of times, he said we get our identity from our father. So if you are seeking something, especially from a female perspective, but we're going to talk about the males too, typically, you know, that's the reason why maybe so many females go to those relationships, because they're looking for identity and they find the identity in these relationships. Unfortunately, our mates can't be our father, but I've been there before myself where I was seeking the father in my mate. So I know we don't really ask questions, but I'm going to ask you. In my head, have you ever been in a position where you seek validation from your spouse that you couldn't find, that you didn't find in your father?
definitely. If you guys know my story, or if you don't, I'll share a little bit of it.
I live down.
So basically, I grew up without my father, my dad, and this is not like it's a big secret because he, you know, shared it on a video we did together. But he had a drug problem. He ended up going to prison. I was really young. I was probably like, you know, a baby when he went to prison. And so I grew up without him. We didn't reconnect until I was 12 years old when he finally got out of prison. And then even after that, it was a very bumpy road because one, he hadn't been in my life for 12 years. So I didn't really know him. And then because of his own parental abandonment issues.
1 second. I'm going to pause the recording. I'm going to pause it. One quick.
Okay.
Okay, so you was basically saying even when y'all got out, like when he was out of prison, y'all still had that turbulent relationship. Okay.
Yes. So even after he finally got out of prison, because we didn't know each other that well, because of his own, you know, growing up with parental abandonment issues, his mom wasn't there when he was a child. He didn't know how to be a father. And so he was trying to be my friend, which caused more issues because I wasn't looking for a friend. I was a different type of a kid too. Like, I didn't need you to be my friend. I wasn't trying to have parents to be my friends. I was trying to have parents to just be my parents and, you know, teach me the things that I needed to know. And so it caused a lot of turbulence with our relationship. Essence Joy.
Oh, Tinker Bud.
Hey. So it caused a lot of issues in our relationship. But over time, you know, with both of us going, because I'm still really the same person I was back then. I just have mellowed out a little bit. Jesus has kind of like, you know, worked on the rough edges of me, but I'm still very direct. I just, you know, and it wasn't even that back then I was trying to hurt people's feelings. It just, you know, I just said what I said, really, and I didn't care.
You said what you said, yeah.
Exactly. So I would just say stuff and be like, I don't think that you know, this, that, whatever. Essence Joy. Essence. I'm trying to record. Okay. So, you know, so I would end up hurting his feelings a whole lot. He would be mad about that. And, but I was trying to help him to understand, like, I just need a father to help me not to make these bad decisions in my life. And so, you know, so because I didn't have him to really guide me and show me what a man was supposed to treat me like and help me to find my identity and my self-worth and things like that, I did gravitate towards those relationships with guys, which I was looking for somebody to validate me and to tell me that I was, you know, beautiful and that they loved me and things like that. Pretty much what she was saying in the song. Those are the things I was looking for in a relationship. And I also think that a lot of times in relationships, you know, that's why women end up calling, you know, they men daddy and stuff like that, because
wait a minute. I think we touching on something. Okay, go ahead. I think that's the name of the topic of the episode. Thank you, Jesus. The Father in You. That's what we're gonna call it. We're gonna come from that perspective today. Okay. So this is gonna be called Thank You. Y'all, shout out to, you know, the men who do hold it down though, because my maintenance man just left. He got me all the way together. I heard some noise in the background. That's what this is. But you know, when you're doing stuff live or recorded, you will hear some interference. So just get these jewels, okay? So that being stated, I think the episode title needs to be called "The Father in You." And what we're going to discuss it is parental abandonment and how that translates into
those relationships. Exactly.
Because that's how you know we in his will. He just give it to us as we go. That's why guys, I'm just gonna say this. If you're struggling with, you know, creativity, you just gotta move your feet. But go ahead.
Yes.
So you was just saying that's the reason why you think a lot of females call their partners daddy.
Yes. And you know, and it's because you're looking for, you know, that father figure, that person who can, you know, this is also why I'm a firm believer in, like, fathers should take their daughters out on dates and show them how they should be treated, because if you don't, then you know, any guy can come and be like, let me take you to McDonald's, and she's like, oh, he took me out to eat, and I'm all excited and I'm gonna give him some because, you know, he made me feel good about myself, or he did something for me because she didn't have a father there doing that stuff. And so sometimes people take that for granted, but it's extremely important that, you know, fathers play that role in their daughter's life to show them, to set that standard. Like, one, let your kids see you doing stuff for, you know, their mother, so they know this, especially for boys, and then also do it for them. Like, you know, I know some guys, they buy their daughters flowers. Yeah. It's not just, you know, it doesn't matter how young they are. If you do those things, then she'll start to have this expectation. Like, if a guy come at me and he's not doing these things, then no, because my daddy did more than this, and why would I settle for anything less than that? You know. But a lot of times, if you don't grow up receiving those things, then you don't know that you should be expecting that. So then you lower your standards, just take whatever somebody is willing to give you, just so you can feel like you're worth it.
You know, I want to talk back on what you just said regarding I don't even want to talk about it. I kind of want to just give a disclaimer that this episode, to all my saints, I don't need y'all touching y'all pearls because we are going to, I think we're about to get really, really real. Um, I'm
That's
just
all I know, y'all. That's all I know.
yeah, y'all grown. Go figure it out. Like, come on, bro, because we about to have a real conversation right now, okay? But I want to just talk about what you just said about a lot of the times females call their spouse or their partner daddy in relationships. If we go back to the song, Mary J. Blige basically said, "That's why I need the Father in you." And I found it to be interesting. And I'm about to say something, that's why I say don't clutch your pearls. But a lot of the times when females are having, relations with a man, that word comes out, daddy.
Right. Usher got a whole song about it. Hey, hey,
Yeah,
hey, daddy.
he does, right. So I want to talk about, but isn't it ironic that while in intimacy or while having sex, a lot of the times that's when females feel loved, is because of that intercourse and that exchange. Because we all know that women, we are the womb carriers, and it's always an exchange when we have sex. It's always a soul tie, right? So
Right.
when you call your partner daddy, that's your indication that even if I don't feel safe, even if he beat me up top of the head, even if he talk to me like a dog, or even if you treat me really, really well, I call you daddy because I feel close to you. And unfortunately, because I never understood properly how the male relationship from daughter to father was supposed to go, this is the closest that I feel. So I'm trying to fill that void. So my question to you is, do you feel that all the time females sometimes know when they're filling that void? Like when you were younger, before you knew that parental abandonment was a thing, did you know that you were filling a void in those?
I did it. So as I was growing up and I saw me and all my siblings from my mom's side all have different dads. And so there would be times where I would see them with their dad and I felt some kind of way because I was like, well, where's my dad? Why is he not here? Does he not want me? So I struggled with that up until I actually met him. Then I found out that he was in prison. So I guess that explains why he wasn't there. It wasn't that necessarily he didn't want to be in my life. He just wasn't there. But I did not, at the time when I started dating, I didn't equate the choices that I made and the people that I picked to my daddy issues of my dad not being there for me, whether it was physically, verbally, or emotionally. I didn't have that connection. I didn't equate that. The reason why I'm drawn to these guys is because I'm looking for somebody to fill this void inside of me that my dad never did.
And that's what I'm saying. I know that's why we always talk about the root of the situation and how introspection is so important, because a lot of the times, if we're not very careful, we will think that we don't understand that our inability to be alone sometimes as females, because like fellas, we're gonna do a male one. And I think I'm gonna let Shiny actually come on as a co-host when we do the male one. To do an interview with males that I may know who were without a father, and we're gonna co-host that one together. But I was just going to say that a lot of the times, like as women, we don't realize that the void we trying to chase is the parental abandonment. You see what I'm saying? And to the females who might, to y'all who might say, well, my dad was in the house, was your dad emotionally available?
Because
go ahead.
So, and to speak to that, because that's something that I tell my viewers all the time, just because they were there doesn't mean that they were emotionally there for you. And you can still have trauma from that even if they were in the household. I know some people, my mom, she did a video, she talked about that with me. My grandfather, he was always there her entire life. But because he didn't have that emotional connection growing up, he didn't know how to show affection. He didn't show that in a way that she needed it to receive it, especially as a girl. So then she went out trying to find that in the relationship she was in with men. So it still happens even if you grow up in a household with them. I had another person who they also said, you know, both of her parents were in the household, but because they were emotionally unavailable, it caused her to, you know, be a people pleaser because she was always trying to get good grades and stuff. So her parents would give her the attention and stuff that she was looking for, but they just worked all the time because they thought what they were supposed to do as parents was, you know, work and provide. And they missed out on the whole, your kids need quality time and quantity, the quantity of time and quality of time with you as well.
That is so good. I love what you said about that as it related to being there, but emotionally you're not there. And I know this is for the women, but for the men as well, like that man is their model on how to be a good husband or how to be a good father. And if they either had a father who wasn't there, or they had a father who was there but wasn't paying them the attention that they needed, then what happens is they don't know how to demonstrate that love to women. A lot of the times as women, we attract who we are, what we fear, and our fathers. You know what I'm saying? Just in husband format. Ephesians 5:25 says, husbands, love your wives, even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it. So a lot of the times as women, we believe that that's just like, okay, well, he take me out on dates, he provide for me. But a lot of the times when God say protect us, when God protects us, he also protects our emotions. That's the reason why he told us to guard our hearts, from out of it flows the issues of life. Or that's the reason why he tells us not to cast our pearls amongst swine, is because he's basically letting us know that he wants us to protect our emotional hearts. But as women, a lot of the times, if we never had that model, like we may have had men who were willing to ride for us if a man put their hands on us, but when we started crying, they said, shut up, girl, why are you doing all that crying?
Right.
Then you find that to be normal when you get into a relationship, as when your man say, babe, like you being too emotional, then you looking at it like, oh man, I heard this all my life. And as women, that's our makeup. Our makeup is emotional because we're the nurturers. So we have to have a level of emotion to raise our children in a proper way. So I just feel like, you know, what I want husbands and even husbands and fathers to take from this is, when we say protect us, protect our emotions. And so being emotionally unavailable is not availability. That's partial availability. Thank you for providing. Thank you for protecting us and being about to bust a cap in somebody's tail if it comes to that. But when I'm crying, be there for me. Like you said, Shani, take me on a date so I can see how a man is supposed to court a woman. So I just wanted to touch on that.
Yes, and it's very true. And something that God has really, you know, been dealing with me as of lately is my platform has shifted a lot more to really speaking with men about what it is to be a man, what it is to be a father, because I am a firm believer that, you know, healing is supposed to start from the top down. And so we always say, like, you know, the word of God says the man, you know, he is the head of the household and stuff. And so if you go back and you look in the Bible, when Eve ate the fruit, nothing happened. When Adam ate the fruit, that's when God was like, okay, what just happened? Where are you? What, you know, all of these things happen because he's supposed to be the head. So I'm not saying that Eve was not wrong in eating the stuff, but it starts with the head of the household. So in order to get things back in line, because then if you continue to read it, you know, it talks about how, you know, the woman will be, let me pull up that scripture.
You want me to pull it up and I can share it on the screen? You got it.
Yeah, I think it's Genesis, I believe. Oh, started. And this goes a little past the parental thing, but I'm gonna tie it all up in it. Okay, yeah. So Genesis 3:16. That's so funny because I said Genesis 3:16 when we did Matters of Heart Monday, and this was not the scripture that I was referring to.
But it's on your heart though. Okay, hold on. Wait right quick. I'm about to share the screen. Thank y'all for bearing with us in listening world, because we're also doing a visual aid, so we just want, you know, our listeners to be able to see it as well. I mean, our viewers. So it says in Genesis 3:16, unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply the sorrow and thy conception in sorrow. Thou shalt bring forth children, and they desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee.
Okay, so in the translation I have, it's the NLT, and it says, and the part that I want to focus on, because we all focus on the whole. Okay, you want cookie? Okay, 1 second.
Go ahead. I'm gonna stop recording. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So go ahead.
So in the NLT version, it says, like I said, we focus on the, you know, the labor pains being worse and stuff, but the part that a lot of times everybody misses is, or just looks over, is, and you will desire to control your husband, but he will rule over you. And I was having a conversation one time with God, and I was like, why is it that, you know, women, it seems like there's just a shift in the households where women are, you know, the ones that seem like they're running things and trying to control things and everything. But, you know, they're angry because they want their man to lead. And they want all of these things to happen the right way, but it's not happening. And he brought me to this scripture, and he was like, it's part of the curse, because when the curse happened, when the woman ate the fruit first, it shifted to where, because she ate the fruit and then she gave it to her husband. So essentially now, if a woman is not operating in the will of God, she's trying to control what a man does, while he's still lording over her. And what does that mean? That basically means to be Lord is the person who has ownership over you. So that's where you have where men are very controlling over their woman, they're very dominating over their woman, and it's the difference between submitting and then being controlled by somebody. And so a lot of times that's why women get very afraid or standoffish about the word submitting. And they're like, I ain't submitted to nobody because I'm gonna do what I want to do. Well, that's she wants to control him, but then they also fear being controlled by a man. So they don't want to have to submit to somebody who they're afraid is going to try to control them.
Most definitely. Okay, I get you.
So with that being said, when we grew up in, hold on, let me get my thoughts back. When we grew up in households where the man he didn't allow God to help him to renew his mind to what was supposed to happen before the curse came, where he was the one who was dominant, or he was the one who was the leader over the household, then he tries to take authority in the household by controlling the woman. And this is where the abuse and verbal abuse, physical abuse, whatever you want to call it, comes into play. And then it just trickles down. And so even if a woman gets the healing that she's supposed to get, if it never gets up to the man's place, then the household is always going to be lopsided. Thus, the kids are never going to see the way a father is supposed to actually be, the way a husband is supposed to actually be, and it continues this generational curse. So I said all that to say, the Lord has really been just ministering to me to minister more to helping men to accept being transparent and vulnerable about what they're going through, and knowing that it's okay for them to get healing and therapy, and to talk about these things and open up about these things. And I'm blessed that I've been able to have a group of guys that are open to have these discussions publicly, and be able to have a place where they can talk about this stuff and not feel like men can't have these conversations, or you're weak if you talk about men cry, or you're weak if you talk about your emotions, or you may have had depression and you may be going to therapy and stuff like that, because we have to normalize that being a man does not mean that you're hard and you show no emotion.
That is so fast. And you know, I love what you said about the whole thing was just so powerful. And I just got so much revelation about, you know, how the house is lopsided. And even, you know, as it relates to the curse, when you were saying that about the curse, it just made me wonder, like, the curse can be revoked and we can go into those generational blessings. But again, it comes back to the awareness of it. And then here's the thing, as it relates to women who grew up without a father, you'll hear this a lot. You can't depend on these men. You can't depend on no man. And then it's like they're programming their daughters or their sons is hearing them say it, which I feel like makes the sons undependable because they're hearing it. And we got to understand that words are a spirit. So what you speak out your mouth becomes law. That's the reason why they say it's power in the life, it's life and death in our tongue. You know what I'm saying? So like when you keep saying that, then that man is hearing that. Also, what I noticed is when these women say you can't depend on these men and a woman should be very, very independent, they're teaching their daughters to be super, super, super independent while sheltering and babying their sons. And this is how this curse continues because, again, the house is lopsided where a woman, you know what I'm saying, where you're teaching men how not to be a man, but you teach a woman how to be a man and a woman.
Right. And then that goes into where women be like, well, I could do whatever a man could do, and I could play these same games that a man plays and stuff. And so then you have women who are out there just, you know, the way that a woman is orchestrated, our hearts are to receive love and stuff. So we can't do that whole like I'm sleep with whoever I want to sleep with, and then I'm just not gonna have feelings and stuff. That's not how we work. But society has told us we could do whatever a man could do. So then we just go out and, you know, we sleep with all of these people and stuff and not catch feelings because men do that and stuff. It don't work like that for us.
But
we were not even equipped to do that. Like,
and you know what? Again, like I said, for the church people, you know, I'm not too
clutching pearls. I don't have my pearls on today.
Go ahead and clutch them because I'm gonna tell my testimony, because the more transparent I am, the more I can help. But oh Jesus! In saying this, you know, I'm gonna say it. I have had a phase in my life where casual sex was a thing. And in having casual sex, how I even got to the phase of being celibate was because God was dealing with me and was saying, you having casual sex, right, is skewing your perception on how love should go, and you'll never find the one that I have for you, or the one that I have for you will never find you in those distractions. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And I had to get to end casual relationships in that casual situation where we having casual sex, have casually or uncasually call him daddy too, because I'm seeking something, right? And I know this is probably a conversation where some people might get a little like, I can't believe she's talking like that, but we trying to help.
Somebody needs to hear this.
Somebody need to hear this. I would always end up with the short end of the stick in that casual situation, because I was like, well, it ain't nothing but this. But then at the end of the situation, I will always want more.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
so in saying that, as a woman who, my father was locked up and now he's deceased, Lord rest his soul. And I was blessed to have male father figures such as my father, Rudolph, shout out to you for just, being the stand-up man. My grandfather, Pastor Gary Gilchrist, shout out for you for being a stand-up man. But I will say that it's not the biological father. His role is so prominent because God didn't really necessarily create marriage for it to be a step anything. You know what I'm saying? So like a stepfather stands in for step in father, step in mother. He created marriage to be what it was, you know what I'm saying? But because of the curse and all that stuff like that, like you were saying, life has kind of not been the same ever since. But I was just basically saying that to say, I just kind of feel like, when I was in those casual situations, I was definitely seeking that love that I wanted from my biological father, that I knew he wanted to give me. And I knew that he had his own situations, because guess what? His father wasn't there for him like he should have been. And guess what? His father's father wasn't there.
Right. And there's a few things that you said, and I'll go back to where you were talking about earlier, how, the father is the one who gives you your identity. That's the same reason why we take on their last name, because that establishes who we are, the root of who we are. And that is also why when you get married and the woman takes on the husband's name, because now your identity is part of him. You guys are supposed to become one in that scenario. So it's, I totally understand step families. I've come from step families.
Me too.
But it's really hard when you're in that situation and you know that this person is stepping in and being a father to you, but that's not your name. Like,
exactly.
And so you still have this longing of, where do I come from? Who do I come from? And I remember when I was married, my stepdaughter, she had to do a family tree, and she came to me and she was asking about for her mom. She was like, well, do I put you down or do I put my mom down? And I was like, well, baby, it's your family tree, so you should put your biological mom down, because is going to lead to your actual biological lineage. And so I'm all for people understanding and going back to the root of where they came from, because it's important. If you don't know where you came from, it's hard to move forward.
Yeah. And I think that's even what kind of causes those like identity issues, where you have people who are going through like identity crisis. I think that comes from, like you said, doing and you made a very prevalent point about like, when she was doing her family tree and she wanted to know, because I thank God for the stand-up men who decide to step in and the stand-up women who decide to step in. But I will honestly say, as children, it needs to be explained, like, this is a blended family. And whether your biological father or mother is there or not, I still got your back. But every aspect of that need to be explained, like how this might impact you mentally, how this might impact you emotionally, how this might impact even your physical well-being. You know what I'm saying? And I also want to set a challenge for my listeners and the people who will listen. Do a genogram. A genogram is nothing but a family tree, but you can do a genogram on both sides. It's very time consuming. So I recommend starting with your father side first and then working your way down. When I did my genogram, I did my genogram for a school activity, Chantel. What did I see in my family bloodline? Divorce, 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 divorce. And I thought that was interesting because, again, when you're divorcing like that covenant, and with divorcing that covenant, it kind of causes room for confusion as it relates to the identity. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you good? You good? Okay, my bad. Because I was about to say, because at the same time, you know, a lot of the times those situations happen because why? Because you got men who don't know how to be husbands because they never seen it demonstrated. You got women who don't know how to be a wife because they seen their mama single their whole life. You know what I'm saying? So I guess my thing with this is, you know, like how can we get to a place where we can heal our bloodline and post not having a father, post a divorce, post a blended family? How can we make this situation through the grace of God a healthy one? You see what I'm saying? Like, what are your—
Yeah. So really it starts with, you know, acknowledging that there is an issue. A lot of times, especially in the Black community, you hear a lot, what happens in this household stays in this household. So, you know, they don't talk about, you know, the molestations that happen. They don't talk about, you know, the abuse that happens. They don't talk about the divorces, the cheating, you know, babies born, you know, out of an affair.
And you know what, Chantel, not to cut you off, but I was going to also say, like you said, the divorces and the divorces that come because of the abuse, the divorce that come because of the family stuff. You know what I'm saying? But go ahead, I'm listening.
Oh no, you're good. So like, and those things happen, and if people don't talk about those things, then how do you ever allow yourself to heal? It's just like if you, and I know I said this in on Matters of Heart Monday, but like if you won't even acknowledge that you're sick or you have cancer, how do you actually get to the process of actually healing the thing? Like first you have to acknowledge that there is a problem. And so we can't ever move forward to heal the brokenness and to make sure the new generations are not going through the same thing if we don't say, hey, this thing that happened was wrong. And we can't erase it, just like you can't erase slavery, but you have to acknowledge it was wrong and this is what we need to do to move forward through it. And a lot of times that is going to take counseling or, you know, reading self-help books that's going to help you to work through that. One of the books that my brother actually just sent me, and I have not started reading it yet, but it is on my reading list because I have a lot of different books on my reading list. But it is called What Happened to You? And it's by Bruce D. Perry and Oprah Winfrey. And it talks about conversations on trauma, resilience, and healing. Like, you have to talk about this. And I'm not saying, because I know that a lot of times people like, it comes off as being weak if you keep talking about the stuff. And I'm not saying keep talking about it, keep reliving it and rehashing it. But at some point you have to have these conversations like, hey, I was molested by my cousin and it sucked. And nobody in the family actually did anything about it because what happens in this family stays in this family type thing. Like you have to be able to say that this happened in order to heal from that thing. In covering it up and just being like, oh, we're just going to pretend like nothing happened, that doesn't really work. And so when dealing with the parental abandonment issue, you have to be able to say like, my dad wasn't there and it hurt. It hurt me because my dad wasn't around and I really needed him. And a lot of times people can't say that, especially men. It's because men are told that they're not supposed to show emotion, they're not supposed to cry, they're not supposed to do all these things. So it looks weak for them to say, I really wish my dad was in my life because I'm kind of jacked up now because I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to be a father. I don't know how to be a husband because my dad wasn't there. They don't want to say it, but it's true. And if you don't say it, it doesn't make it less true. Don't say it.
And you know what, Shani, like if we gonna be for real about that, that's how you will really heal your bloodline. That's how you will revoke the curse because you're renouncing it. You know what I'm saying? And that's how you're able to better be a better parent. And another thing too, to the dads out there, say for instance, if you got a child and they might be 35 years old and you weren't in their life, a lot of the times we think avoidance is an antidote Avoidance isn't a fixer. It doesn't cure the fact that it happened.
Right.
But my recommendation, this is what I recommend. Instead of trying to avoid the situation, pray, ask God to show you, how this relationship can reconcile, and make an effort to connect with your kid.
Right.
And say, hey, don't, a lot of the times what I notice about parents when they have shortcomings, they do this very narcissistic, unhealthy thing. Well, I had issues too. Okay. Yeah, you did. That's why you weren't able to do what you were supposed to do. That's not how you get forgiveness, though.
Right.
When we come to God, we can't come to God like, well, God, I'm struggling with sexual sin because I was molested. Because God gonna say that's facts. God, I'm struggling with sexual sin because lust run in my family. That's facts. But I need you to take accountability.
Right.
You also, this is also your will to continue to have sex outside of marriage. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so with that being stated, that's the same as when you asking people for forgiveness. So I just feel like, if anybody listening and and you're a parent and you have a very, very bad relationship with your children, start by prayer, start by then seeking first the kingdom, and then start with faith. Have enough faith to reach out and to do something. And even if they don't respond to you well, then have faith and trust that God is going to make it happen. But the healing process does not start in your avoidance.
Right. And I would throw a caveat in there as well. Take accountability for what you did, but don't live in the past and in regret and in guilt and shame and start trying to do stuff for them out of guilt and shame, because that's not the way to build a relationship either. That just makes it toxic. And depending on the issues that your kid is going through and their own stuff, they might let you do stuff for them, and it still is not going to fix their relationship with you. They still won't want you around, but they'll allow you to do stuff for them. And that's very unhealthy, because now you're in this toxic cycle of, I'm trying to do stuff to win their love, to show them that, they should want to have a relationship with me. And that's an area that you need to heal in. Like, you can't go back and fix that. It's the same thing with, y'all might get mad at me, but I don't really care. Even if they gave every Black person 40 acres and a mule, it does not erase slavery, y'all. Like, even if they gave us all this stuff, it's not gonna fix. We still would be mad about slavery. We
are. So you giving us that is not the same as acknowledgement.
Right.
Acknowledgement is the cure for wrong misconduct. Right. Acknowledging and then apologizing.
Yep.
And when you apologize, don't say sorry out your mouth just to do the behavior again.
Right.
Meaning, like, slavery, giving us 40 acres and a mule ain't gonna cure it. Acknowledging and apologizing is a start. That's 50% of it. But then if you go back and we have another George Floyd situation and it keep happening like it's happening, that help my
or systemic racism, where we're still being treated badly in the workforce, or being treated like, we're less than. Like, until you fix the things that are broken, then you're not really acknowledging that there still is a problem. And I'm not gonna go into the whole race thing, because I can get
but
really
no, it's true. And that's the same with the relationship as it relates to parental abandonment and parenting is, okay, so say for instance, if you went to God, all right, that we got you at your 25%, because you went to God and you acknowledge it. Okay, thank you for your 50. Then you apologize, thank you for your 75. But if you trying to get to 100%, your consistency is key in curing this relationship.
Yes.
And it could
because you have to build.
Go ahead.
That's a perfect analogy. So y'all ever played Jenga, right? And you pulling out the little blocks and stuff, and we did this with our youth group one time. But we were doing it from a place of them, losing their parents' trust. So each time you do something, one of them blocks come out, you're losing the area of trust, and your trust is your foundation of trust is getting weaker and weaker until it falls. Well, how do you get it back to a place where it's strong again? You have to rebuild back again from the bottom up. And so that's the same thing with a parent. If you're trying to work on a relationship with your child, you have to consistently build step by step, building that trust, letting them know I'm consistent, I'm not leaving you, I'm going to be here for you and stuff. And that doesn't happen by buying them gifts. It happens by showing up where they need you, emotionally, mentally. Sometimes, you know, you may need to go to counseling together. Like I'm an advocate for people getting like, I call it couples counseling, because, you know, mostly married people do it, but I feel like families need to do it together.
Exactly,
like,
yes.
So y'all can talk through these, because a lot of times, and I can only speak from being Black, but a lot of times in the Black community, nobody taught us how to actually communicate other than yelling and cussing each other out and stuff like that. So if you've never learned how to do that, you need to go to a professional who can teach you how to communicate with somebody in a way that is not manipulating or condescending or patronizing or tearing them down in order to get your point across, like all of these different ways. Because again, going back to what Jakil was saying, like people will be like, well, I know what I did was wrong, but it was really because if you wouldn't have did this, and everybody's trying to justify why what they did was not wrong, really, so they can get away with it. You have to learn how to take accountability, and you sometimes need somebody else to help you to communicate and learn and take that correction. And sometimes the best person to do that is a third party who is outside your household, who is not going to be biased and try to be like, well, you did say this. I'm on their side because they do this for me and stuff. Because then, especially if it's a sibling, then that causes biases between the siblings. Be like, you always take dad's side. You always, because they always do stuff for you and they don't really care about me. Then you got the black sheep of the family, and then you got the, you know, the golden child, and that's a whole nother book too.
And you're right though, and what you said was so fast, because I think especially as African Americans, is, you know, we sometimes have a hard time with taking accountability. And, you know, that's because, you know, we're taught that, okay, they say, yeah, that African Americans are resilient. African Americans are resilient, but African Americans are really suffering on so many different levels. Like you said, systemic, environmentally, familial settings. So like every single setting is suffering because, you know, as Black women, we get the notion of being the angry Black woman, because I know for me at my job, I've had to advocate for myself plenty of times. I know in a home, you know, it's stuff that happens in our homes, you know, that we are taught to be like, then if you grow up in the projects or the hood, you know, you gotta kind of be like, so we always have to put on our cape. And it alludes to like this false pretense of resilience. Yeah, we're strong, but we hurt. You know what I'm saying?
And it becomes part of just your basic like makeup. Like literally, every now and then y'all might see me just stare at myself, because I'll be checking what I look like. And it's not like I'm checking my makeup. It's because I have a lot of times people just say, why you always look so angry? I really don't be angry. But it's just the way that I've just been brought up and the stuff that I've gone through. Apparently I just constantly have this look that looks like I'm angry when I really don't be angry. I just be like thinking or something, or I'm just something. But that angry Black woman thing, like, it's not that we want to be angry, just stuff that we've gone through in life, growing up without a father, having to grow up quickly so you can help your mom out in the household and stuff, or being, you know, the oldest sibling, then you got to help out with your other siblings and stuff. It just makes you, you know, you lose some of that feminine side.
Yeah, you lose the feminine, and you, Shawnee, why every time me and you talk, and we ain't had no questions. So first of all, I just want to say this: God is good, because this was just like I'm telling you, like, I'm starting to feel like this was a bomb episode. This is gonna be a really great episode. But I was just saying, you know, as it relates to that, it's this guy floating around on YouTube. You probably heard of him. His name is Kevin. I can't think of his last name. But he talks to a lot of Black women. His approach is a little brash. Some may even think like he's harsh, but you know, he's believing that a lot of Black women are losing their femininity because, you know, a lot of Black women, you know, it's been said that we are like the most educated, but we the least protected, but the most educated. I want to talk about that for a moment because this kind of goes back to that parental situation, right? You have people like Michelle Obama, Kamala, Sarah Jakes Roberts, Oprah Winfrey, all these strong women, and like they got themselves together. But if they educated, if they not educated, their ministry's booming. You know, like me and you, let's just talk about it. You are a go-getter, you're a grinder. You got so much stuff going for yourself. Like, I'm like, when do Chantel sleep? Because she's a parent, she's wrote books, she has a platform. I know me, I go to school, I'm a minister, you know what I'm saying? I'm a career woman. I live on my own, so I run my household. And I just be thinking to myself, the other day I was in the car and I was like, Lord, every day I have to wake up with the mentality of let me go get it. I put my feet on the pavement, and from the time that I wake up to the time that I go to sleep, I'm running. I'm like, I'm grinding. You know what I'm saying? And I was saying to myself, but it would be nice to have a man to come take the load off sometimes. I want to be
Yes, girl.
I want to be feminine sometimes. I sometimes don't want to have to worry about getting my car registered, putting oil in my car for oil change, then going grocery shopping. I still got to cook. I still got to do laundry, but all these bills are due. But you know, Black women are known to be very, very resilient. And I know I'm resilient. Thank you, God, for that trait. But at sometimes, you know, I just want to come home to dinner already cooked. I want to come home and not having to worry about working overtime to pay all this rent, to pay all these bills, because I know I got that helpmate who can help and take that load off. Right. Again, that goes back to that parental stuff of seeing your mama grind and grind and grind. Now, I know I was blessed because I did see marriage and I did see a man, you know, take up the load. But I'm just saying some things are just innate in us. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. Like, I know a lot of women who struggle with not having a father also struggle with relinquishing independence because they don't trust men.
Right. And that's a huge thing. And it's funny because I was having this conversation with my son a while ago. I can't remember if I told you about it or not, but I asked him, I have open conversations with my kids where I let them be free to share how they feel about stuff, because I think it's important. Like, just because they're kids doesn't mean they don't have feelings, y'all. You need to like ask them how they feel, or they end up committing suicide or shooting up a school. Yes, you need to check in on your kids. So, you know, and I also ask them, you know, tell me how they feel about me as a parent. And I give like, now you can't just come at me sideways and talk crazy to me, because we're not doing that. But, you know, you have a free, open opportunity to come to me and be like, hey, Mom, this thing you said, it kind of hurt my feelings, or, you know, can we talk about this, whatever. So I was having a conversation with him one day. We were driving and I said, hey, so I just want to know, like, what do you think of me as a person? You know, what's your perception of me as a person? And so he said, well, I think you're a good person. He was like, I also think that you're really independent, and because of that, you don't let people help you. And I'm driving and I was like, well, okay then. And I was like, so it's interesting that you say that. I said, but let me give you another look at that. I said, I do agree that I did struggle for a long time with letting anybody help me because I didn't trust anybody. I had learned growing up, I can't trust nobody to take care of me except for me. Like maybe they, did certain things, but I always had to make sure I had my own back because I couldn't rely on people. Or if they did something, I was gonna owe them something for it. So, and that's, dealing with sexual trauma and different things like that. They always wanted something in return. So it took me a long time to work through that. But then also what I had to explain to him was sometimes it's not me not accepting people's help. It's you have to be very mindful when people say that they're trying to help you. You have to have discernment in that because not everybody who says they're going to help you is really for you. And sometimes people want to use that over you. So I don't always accept people's help when they say they're trying to help me, because I need to know if your motive is genuine and you just want to help me, or you're trying to actually do something so that you can later try to use me. And so it's something that, I had to explain to him. But being a woman, especially growing up, without that father figure to be that male role model in my life, to be there for me, I did have a sense of, especially, in my first marriage, that I had to do stuff for myself because he was showing in the relationships he wasn't going to do the stuff. So I had to make sure stuff was taken care of if our house was going to be taken care of. And it built this mindset up, or established it even more, that I got to take care of this stuff because he's not going to be able to do it. So,
Girl, and that's what I be trying to say. As women, I don't necessarily think that we don't want to be dependent, because I don't want to say dependent. We want to rely on our partner for some things. We want to be able to trust. But I think what happens is when you see certain things, it skews your perception of if I can really trust you. Right. So, Shani, I just want to say, like, girl, this episode I think was very amazing. I almost also want to tell you that I think that this should be a part 2.
I definitely agree. I think there's a lot that, I think stuff that we didn't cover, because I had some stuff that I had like pulled up that I was going to share. We never even made it in that direction, but
well, what I would like for you to get, it definitely took a direction of his own. But what I would like for you to do is send that information to me so I can shape it as a question.
Okay.
And we can give this this was just because, I really just wanted us to talk about it. But I think the way that we went is going to help someone.
I definitely
both
agree.
Male and female. I think I would like to do a part 3 about this though, like two more episodes, because I want to talk about the male perspective. And I told you I wanted you to co-host, but I ain't about to tell everybody our business. That will
y'all just gotta stay tuned.
Yeah, we'll talk about the creative stuff behind the scenes, okay? But I mean, we done recorded 2 episodes, y'all. We've been recording since 7 o'clock, so.
Yes, and my daughter is getting listen, what are you doing?
Right, yeah, but I mean, Shani, I would like to just, ask, do you have any closing remarks that you would like to tell the people?
I would just say, if you take nothing else from this, take this part. If you don't heal from your parental abandonment issues, it's going to follow you in every relationship you ever have. You're never going to be able to have a healthy relationship with anybody. Not in a marriage, partnership, not with your children, none of your relationships will be healthy because you have not sought to heal from those parental abandonment issues. So it's extremely important that you dig in to figure out what it is that happened and heal from that.
So guys, again, I don't really have anything to close because I think she pretty much said it all. So I will say that this will be a part 2 sometime in the season. I can't tell y'all when, but it's going to be before season 3 closes out. Definitely, I will say that, when this comes out, it's going to be after Father's Day, but it's something that you guys can reference. And I do, I know I said I didn't have anything to say, but I do want to say this. Happy Father's Day to the men who have not been good fathers to their children, but we're not going to discount the fact that you're still a dad. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to love on you and acknowledge the fact that I'm pretty sure your reason for not being a good father is rooted in something that's generational. But exactly. I will also say you can change that.
Exactly.
So that's all for us, guys. Definitely follow us on the Matters of the Heart Mondays. Definitely make sure you subscribe to Inspiring Beauty and Believers. Definitely make sure that you listen to this episode and subscribe to the Whole Story Sundays on YouTube. Subscribe to my Apple Podcast. Support my podcast. It's $4.99. Y'all got it. Y'all ballers. Y'all done got stimulus checks. Y'all working good jobs. Y'all got businesses. Y'all can give me $4.99 a month for the Whole Story Sundays, but we'll let that be.
Yes, great. Y'all. Help a sister out so we can get more of this word out to help people.
Right. And so I can stop working and do what God has called me to do. But anyways, guys.
And subscribing to YouTube and stuff is free.
Yeah, y'all don't even
all you gotta do is click a button, y'all.
Just click, and get my girl to 202 subscribers by going on ahead and click. You know what? Go ahead and go to Inspiring Beauty and Believers and click that button. Yes. I will say she has amazing content. So, well, all right, guys, we're going to close out with this. I love y'all. It's been real. Happy healing. And I look forward to seeing you guys on another episode of the Whole Story Sundays.
Bye. Say bye-bye.
Bye, assets.